Jim.
We're here.
What's up?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man. How's it going? Welcome, everybody, to our Wednesday wrap-up live stream. Appearing live on a bunch of different channels right now, which is great. So, for anybody that doesn't know, we did the live stream of this last month, or was that something else that we were testing? I can't remember.
No, we did this. That was our first one that we did
Okay.
with video and everything. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, so our first, we should have titled this like 2025 year in review, except we're not going to review the whole year because there's a lot of stuff. But we do this once a month to walk through everything we did the prior month. So we're going to talk about December and everything that happened during that time, and talk about a few other exciting things. I have something fun to start though, that I thought would be a cool way to start,
Sure.
which is a live unboxing.
What are you unboxing?
So I just got an order from Ingram. This is a copy of our printed edition of our packaging. Heck yeah! It's our live our white papers.
Oh, nice, very cool.
Yeah, sweet. Check that out.
That's awesome. Yeah, last month I think you were showing off the.
Yeah, I think I showed the cover. That's right.
Cover. Yeah.
So, yep. Fresh off the press. So, we're gonna get these loaded up and for sale on the site, which will be fun. Coming in at 154 pages. So, yeah, that's cool. It looks good.
Yeah.
It feels good too. It's like a matte finish. Obviously printed them through Ingram. Has a little Ingram barcode in the back.
That's awesome.
Super cool. Yeah, we got a bunch of them. It's like, I think we got 50 of them. So I mostly wanted to have these internally too, so we can like take them to events and meetings and hand them out to people. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 154
good.
pages. That's good because it felt like a long read when we were going through it.
when you're reading through it the 50th time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're cool. They feel good. Okay. Anyway, back to the reason we're here. Want to walk us through what happened last month?
Yeah. So, as you said, we get together every month and do this. We're now coming up on. There's like 2 years now we've been doing it.
Yeah, I think so. I think this actually marks 2 years because I think it started in January of 24, right?
Yeah, 2-year anniversary. And so for those, I guess we didn't do introductions this time. For those following along, I'm Guillermo. I'm CTO at Book, and Josh is our CEO. And so we're going to go over Book and stuff. And we're going to go over all of the stuff that we built in December. So December obviously was a short month with holidays. Lots of people taking off for Christmas and the New Year. But I think what we can do is we can go over the stuff that we went through, some of the stuff that sort of came from that. And then, you can obviously fill in with from like a commercial side with how some of those conversations went and stuff that might come up.
Yep.
The biggest thing from our side, right, which we were working on for a lot of the month, but weren't able to talk about it until right when it happened, was the Snoop launch, right? And so actually, let me pause there. Do you want to talk a little bit about sort of that relationship and how it came about, and then and sort of how that all manifested?
Yeah, for sure. We connected with the Snoop team through Lena and the Play project. That probably would have been. I mean, that was probably in 2024 when we like probably late 2024 when we first connected with them. Then I went and we met up with Snoop and his son Cordell in Washington D.C. at the Crypto Ball when they did that last year. I think that was like January or February of last year, probably.
Yep.
And met them out at a club very, very late at night. And then we continued to talk. Then his son came here to our office in Texas, spent a couple days talking through the project, what we were doing, and just really developed like a great relationship with those guys. I've been out to Snoop's compound a lot. Yeah, I mean, at least a half dozen times or more, and great conversations with those guys. Snoop's obviously involved in a ton of different things, and I mean, one of the longer conversations that I had with him in particular, sometimes it's like, as somebody at that level, do they really understand what's going on? Like, do they really care about the tech, or are they just like
Right.
chasing stuff? But like, he really, like, I mean, he, like, shockingly to me at least, like, was very deep into just like the whole creator economy and the reason that Web3 exists, which I think is why he's tried and kind of experimented with a lot of different things in the Web3 space. It wasn't, I don't think that it's, you know, uh, like cash grabby what he's doing. I think it's, he's intentionally trying to look at some different things. And I think what he's done with Death Row and a lot of the new artists that he's brought in, he's really trying to help new creators. So, yeah, I mean, basically, we went back and forth on a ton of different ideas, like, and they have a lot more in the pipeline, some other stuff that we've even agreed to and signed to do. But this was sort of the very first thing, was they wanted to test this idea of doing like a trading card and a raffle to go meet him in person. And yeah, I mean, so basically it's very much kind of a hurry up and wait sort of scenario, and a lot of it, right, because they have a lot of stuff going on. So leading up to it, it was like, hey, I think we're ready to go ahead and move forward with this. And so it was like, okay, well, it was kind of a tight timeline to go from kind of zero to launching in a pretty short window. But they were like, hey, let's just get this out. Let's do this. Like, they really wanted to do it before the end of the year. And I mean, really, it was like a week before Christmas when they were like, hey, let's drop this and just test it out. So that's what we did. And that's when you enter the picture of me calling and saying like, hey, this is what we're gonna do.
It was very much like you're saying, hurry up and wait. It was funny with that team. It very much felt like hurry up and wait, and then hurry up again, right? It was like we just like there was like nothing while they were working through their stuff, and then it's like, all right, sweet. They want to take it live in like 8 days or whatever,
Yeah. Which is cool. Also, a bit. It's like, are we going to be able to handle this amount of traffic? There's a lot of kind of what ifs that come in real quick, where it's like, hey, let's make sure we ramp up some of this stuff, because he's got like 500 million followers or something across all his social media channels. So and I'll say too, they did a lot of promotion for it. We got like or they got some article on TMZ. They're connecting some people over there. It went well, I think, for us from a technical perspective. Like, we handled all the traffic, nothing crashed, all the payments went through, we delivered all the assets. I feel like, kudos to you and the tech team. Like, I think it went off flawlessly, and we didn't really have any negative hiccups. I think it was a good first test, and we're already talking about some of the other things that they want to do, which is great. So
yeah, no, totally. I mean, I can jump in. I think, well, first off, going off of what you were just saying, like, I think for folks to keep in mind that this has been like a long ongoing conversation, and that Snoop's team is very interested in sort of iteratively trying out different things. And they were very focused on doing a kind of like end of the year thing, and like you were saying, having it be specifically about like a trading card type raffle to meet him. But there's a lot there in terms of what we can do in terms of a more of our bread and butter, in terms of like actual, like, either like old releases or new music or videos or whatever. And so yeah, I'm really excited to see kind of where this goes from the partnership standpoint. And then from the technical side, like you were saying, we ended up spending a lot of our time doing leading up to that, with like that was the second week of December. And we ended up spending like really the couple weeks before that, like the 2 weeks in December, like seeing, okay, how can we get it to the point where, if we have like a huge amount of Snoop's fans like descend on the site, then how do we make sure that we can handle that kind of load? So from a technical side, like some of the stuff that we were doing, a lot of this month's work was infrastructure work, and making sure that the site was resilient enough. So in the past, when we were just kind of, it was all the mints were like, community folks coming through, and we're talking on the order of like hundreds, maybe low thousands of people moving through the site, right? The way that our infrastructure has been set up, we were good to go with basically just a single API and then a few instances of the front end. And so one of the things we did in preparation for this was we now made it to the point where our API can now horizontally scale. And we were actually running 6 APIs during that mint, which actually now also too, actually, so you know what, this is the technical chat. We can get a little technical. So like one of the other challenges we were running into is that, so for folks, when you come to the site and you're opening your DEA, all of the information for that stuff is all stored in distributed shards on IPFS. But in order to make that experience better for our users, what we do is, instead of feeding it to you directly from IPFS, what we do is we grab everything from IPFS, and then the first time that we get everything down, we actually unpack everything, put your DEA together, and then serve it down to you. And then what we do is, for the next time you come back, we already have that cached version of that DEA ready for the next person that comes to consume it. And so that's why, like, when Nacho's doing his testing and stuff, like the first time he'll play like a video or a movie or whatever else, it'll take a while because it's just grabbing everything from IPFS and putting it all together. And so that unpacked directory was previously tied like one-to-one with the API. And so even like attempts that we had done in the past of scaling up multiple APIs also resulted in multiple unpacked directories, which could make kind of weird edge cases for things where, like, if you start on a book, let's say, and you're a few chapters in, and then you close your browser and you come back, and if you under the hood don't realize you're now connecting to a second API the next time, if that had its own unpacked directory, it would then have to go through the same, like getting stuff from IPFS and unpacking everything, which is obviously not ideal. So the larger technical challenge that we had to do then was make sure that to be able to scale horizontally, that we could do that with what's called a shared volume, so that like all the APIs, no matter how many you have, would all share that same volume of the unpacked directory. So we were able to do that, have the shared volume across them, ran 6 different APIs. The other piece too was that we've been pretty good about this, where all the things that are sort of external calls, like for example, trying to think of like things like calls we do to Stripe, mint and print stuff, to Ingram, like a lot of those things, we have a separate service called our Tasks Watcher, which, so then when something comes into the API, we asynchronously fire it off to the Task Watcher, and then the Task Watcher just handles that stuff in the background, which frees up the API to do whatever it needs to do. Way back when we first started doing the notion of price feeds, when we started playing around with the idea of what became Unified USD, where now all of our mints are based in USD, and then from there we convert dynamically to whatever currencies. That, just because startup stuff and we were just doing it quickly, was written into the API instead of being into the Task Watcher. So the problem was that additionally, aside from like the unpack thing that we were having, every new API we spun up was now spinning up new calls for our price feeds, hitting our price feed endpoints, and all of them getting identical results back. And then all of them really just trying to write to the same single database anyway. So another thing we had to do there was refactor that. And something that should have happened a long time ago, but was very quickly prompted when we were doing this testing and saw it for Snoops that we were barraging our price feed endpoints, was moving then our price feed calls from the API to the Tasks Watcher. So now all of that is handled just from a single thread that kind of just like does all of the asynchronous tasks in the background. And then you can now spin up these APIs, which are then truly just doing their event-based work of just, this client has now hit me and asked for this thing, versus trying to have this background logic that should have never really been living in the API to begin with. So the cool thing about all of this is that, like, in doing all of this work for Snoop, it let us clean up some technical debt that we had, a couple of different things there, like I just mentioned. It also let us set up like horizontal scaling in a way that prepares us for any other large mints that we have coming up. So a really, really cool opportunity to tackle all of that. And yeah, appreciate the kind words in terms of that, that it kind of all just like held up and did the thing. Yeah, it was really encouraging. Again, it's like when the team comes together, and then we also bring in other folks that we've worked with and stuff like that. It's very gratifying to then kind of see oh, and then the thing just worked. We had I was trying to find the numbers here. I'll see if I'm able to find them, but I had shared at some point some stats here in terms of people hitting the page. But it was we definitely had on the order of several thousand people coming through, right? In terms, so it was good to see that the page handle the load really well, both on WordPress and on the D app. And I guess I can actually talk to a little bit. The other thing that we did was because unfortunately, this is something that we want to get away from eventually. But right now, for all of those that have been part of the community for a long time, you're aware that like we have like our landing page where you have just sort of like the pictures of the things that we're selling. And that lives on WordPress. And then separately, we have our D app, which handles everything about minting and your bookshelf and all that other stuff. So everything other than the landing pages lives in our D app, but that landing page is on WordPress, which is separate. So then we separately had to do quite a bit of work to scale up our WordPress instance to make sure that was good to go as well. And then when we were doing our load testing, we found that the D app could very well handle between 20,000 to 40,000 concurrent users. And WordPress, we got to the point which is able to reliably handle upwards of 50,000 concurrent users going to the Snoop page or any of the other ones. So really happy where that all landed. But yeah, it was a big effort across the board to get that out. And it's similar to how like the Shatner launch went, right? Where it's like everyone was focused on the same thing. The rest of my list is not very long in terms of other like smaller things we were working on, but that was very much like an all hands on deck. Like, okay,
Yeah.
we knew this wave was coming. All right, now it's coming in. Let's make sure that everything is ready to go. So yeah. And like I said, and it sets us up in a really good place for like either the next Snoop launch or like any other like large titles we have coming through.
No, 100%. I mean, I think that's the big benefit was, some of this horizontal scaling like we wanted to do for a very, very long time. So having the carve out to knock it out is exceptionally helpful for any of the bigger things that we have coming up.
Yeah, definitely. And right now, and there's always room for improvement. Like right now, we have that shared volume, so all the APIs can share them. We now have the ability to have multiple APIs. So we were up to 6. I think we're going to take it back down to 3 probably because we're not having nearly as much traffic. But that being said, we're still doing that manually. And so then the next step would be setting up like a horizontal load, like a horizontal auto rebalancer, right? Where basically then like as the machines start getting throttled, then additional APIs spin up, and when then the traffic dies down, they spin back down again, right? So that way we don't have to like be guessing or like, well, maybe it's gonna be this many people. We can let that just kind of like happen on its own as needed. So always room for improvement there, but really big step in that direction that we can handle up to these loads of tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what's next?
So otherwise, let's see here. From the back end side, just like some other cleanup stuff internally for our admin folks. One of the things that we're working on too is like global limits. Right now, we have pretty low limits set for USD purchases for like the max that can be done there. We want to start making that configurable as well. So we can like potentially make that if somebody wants to come in and spend a few $1,000s on like, let's say the Snoop raffle or whatever, and they want to put it on their credit card, that they can do that. So we have some initial work towards that. That's in PR right now. And then otherwise, that was most of like where, like I said, everyone's all hands on deck for that. But there were some other things that were also happening in parallel, which are like in flight right now. And so one of those is, I know I've been talking about it forever, and it's because unfortunately it's been a lot of very stop and go with a lot of these other things coming in. But Send a Friend, we've been doing quite a bit of testing, Nacho and I, and working with the folks at TX Pipe. They've been very responsive and like working through with us. And like anytime we see something weird, we send them logs, they dig into it. Like, okay, we tried this out, now give it another try. That's in a really good spot. So we got through our testing, and basically now with the code they had as is. And now they'd asked us that they told us like, hey, we're about to make a new release of a lot of those things. And so let us know when you're ready. And we want to get that out there and have another round of testing. So that release, they just pinged us that they're ready to go with. And so this week, I'm going to update our code to use their new code. And we're going to do another round of regression testing with Nacho. But I am thinking that with how well the last round of tests have gone, I think that we're probably in a spot where we can finally kick off some internal testing with our folks probably next week. And then we'll want to bring in, sort of a friends and family kind of thing. And our folks from the community who've helped us with beta testing in the past. We'll reach out to you guys and let us know if you're interested in also testing that for Send to a Friend, which the initial iteration will be send via email. So that I definitely expect will be in like public testing here in the next week or two.
That's awesome.
So that's gonna be a huge one. I'm really excited about it. We've been talking about it just forever. I can't wait for it to finally be out there. And then from there, it's one of those things where like, what's cool about that is that once we have that, Then we could do things like send via username, right? We've been talking a lot about like usernames and profiles and stuff like that. Yeah, it really sort of cascades from there with like much fast following features. We can also add other chains and stuff like that. Another thing that's not necessarily doesn't sound super sexy on its surface, but the implications are good, is that we're working on tracking internal reporting for all different purchases done of like all different kinds. And the reason why that's important is because right now it's been hard. It's been very manual and difficult for us to track down exact numbers around these things. And so that's part of the reason why we've been holding off on allowing credit card purchases for community mints. So, when like Jury and his folks come through and stuff like that. So now when we have this proper insights and reporting, we'll be able to now accept credit card payments for creator portal mints, which is going to be really big. I know a lot of folks have been asking for that. And, and on Mansky's side, he's like, hey man, there's no way that I can do this if I don't have like the proper insights to be able to let these creators know how much they actually made in cash and what we owe them and stuff. So that purchases reporting and stuff should be in pull request today, if not tomorrow.
Nice.
And then we'll get some testing going with that. So very soon we should see being able to open up at a much larger scale credit card purchases for creator portal mints, which is exciting.
That's huge. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. It's been a big limitation. So that's awesome
for sure. Other than that, I think we're going to see like some cleanup on the promo code process. We're continuing to iterate on that to make it as clean as possible for people that are coming in. This is their first time they're experiencing the site. We want to make sure it's as easy as possible for them to get their assets. So that work will be underway. It is, but we'll continue moving forward. And then the last thing too that I know, again, we've been talking about forever, but maybe now we can finally knock it out here in January. Now that the dust has settled a little bit, is public profile is launched, but it's kind of like bare bones right now. And it's been basically ready to like launch on a larger scale. We just need like a couple last things internally in terms of like how we want that to look, because one of the things like the data's all there and we have an excellent front end developer. And so like, it's not hard for us to do that. We just need to decide internally, like, what do we want to show and how do we want to show it? And how do we want to, fine tune what you can show and hide? Basically right now what it'll be is like you'll have your avatar image, you have a banner image, you'll be able to put a bio about yourself and select a username. And then also you'll be able to, on your profile page, be able to show off your whole library. So basically what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to make any of those things that I just said, like public or private. Eventually we'll make it that you can at asset level show or hide individual ones to start just get it out the door and start playing around with it. We'll just do, you either show your whole library or don't, right? But I know that like in the future, if Mike doesn't want to show off that he has 50 copies of Kama Sutra, he can like hide that. And he can only show the ones that he wants to show.
Shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike. Hey, that was another thing that happened in December. Mike finally got married. A lot of us were at that wedding. That was a lot of fun.
He did. He did.
Yeah.
Vampire took his bride.
Mm-hmm. And we all survived being in Mexico, which is, I think, a big win. I'm going to put that on the accomplishments list.
It's a big win.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's that, man. That was like I said, for a short month, we got a lot done. But that was December.
That's good. All right. Let's see. We usually take. We should have said we usually take one question. I'm reading the comments to see if there's any questions here.
Dang, I lost Error Creator about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Great. Jury's pumped about credit cards. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes these things that seem very boring have very interesting implications. So I bet, Jury, when I said that we're going to do a purchases table under the hood and we're going to have reporting, it didn't sound nearly as exciting as now you're able to accept credit cards for your mints.
For sure. No, I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, I think that about this time last year, we were in the process of building the very first version of the portal. So, I mean, we definitely, we have big plans on the launch stuff and that portal and how that's going to be built. That's going to make things tremendously easier, even beyond just like taking credit cards, I think. But then, the other side too, I'll just add on, obviously, beginning of the new year, so we're working through a lot of roadmap stuff. We'll share some of that when we finalize it, because we're working on a couple of very large enterprise deals. One on the book side, and then a couple on the music side. Both of those have some physical crossovers too, as well. Kind of physical digital type stuff. Just some massive partnerships that, these enterprise partnerships take a good while to percolate, and then figure out all the guts of everything, and get everything defined and signatures and all that sort of stuff before we can announce anything. But I think in lieu of a lot of things that are happening in the, just in the industry broadly, but in media and entertainment, it's like we continue to hear over and over, like, direct to consumer is like the number one request. And so we're right in the zeitgeist here of, tokenization of IP and media and books and music and movies, and all these things like sort of seem to be intersecting all at once. So I think things kind of slow down during the holidays, like they normally do. People are out, that kind of stuff. But we're already, even this week, in the first couple of days of the year here, have had a tremendous amount of conversations starting back up, and deals starting to move quickly, because I think everybody now, of course, it's, everybody has requirements to hit for Q1. So it's exciting to see a lot of that kicking back up into to high gear. So what else are we missing?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about that we can't talk about, that like
I know, right?
It's like, it's so exciting. So I'm really looking forward to some of the things you're alluding to, like seeing those things manifest. I mean, so just for folks to know, like some of the stuff that Josh is talking about, like him and I have been going, I mean, literally, like some of those contacts, you have wasted no time. Like we've gone back and forth. We've actually, you and I have met every day this week, talking through details of what that might look like, and roadmaps and stuff like that. And so really, really exciting stuff there. Some really huge partnership stuff I think folks will be very excited about. It's very, very promising for where 2026 can go, and a lot of the stuff that we wanted to do for a long time. I'm really pumped about it.
I mean, I think some of it will be just huge for blockchain in general. Like there, some of the deals we're talking about working on at a mass consumer scale that doesn't exist, which is exciting. So I'm super excited about sharing that when we can talk about it more.
When we're allowed to, yeah, exactly.
It
should hopefully be soon. I mean, it's moving really quick, so we'll see.
I have a bunch of travel next week for some of that. Travel's already starting to kick back up, so to finalize some of those things and keep going down the path. 2026 is going to be an awesome year, because we have already a tremendous amount of stuff in the pipeline, and and tons of more great stuff to build. So, all right, cool.
I don't see any questions. I see the one comment here from Eric Crater. Sent to a friend is huge to make every user an ambassador. Yeah, I totally agree. There's one of those, like, there's some of the things like this, what Josh and I are talking about, which is like, a huge deal for the company, huge deal for the industry, huge deal for the partners that we're talking about. And then some of these things, like sent to a friend, are just like features of love, where it's like, man, that'd be so cool, and it's like, and like let people just like send stuff around and like really spread the word at a much more organic level. So like the top down and also from the bottom up kind of thing, right? So really, really looking forward to that. I don't see any questions, and I think that that's all I got. I kind of figured this month would be a short one anyway. Yeah,
we're wrapping it up short. Yeah, I mean, December is kind of a short month with the holidays. So excellent.
I see one question from Horseman. Any progress on the L2? So yes, the folks that we're working with at Fluid and Anastasia are definitely continuing forward with that, because of first we were tied up for stuff around Thanksgiving, and then after that, Christmas and New Year's. I actually haven't been able to catch up with them in a minute, but we are literally sitting back together in less than a week, and I'm going to get with those guys, see the latest on how everything is progressing. I mean, also too, keep in mind for the L2, pros and cons of the fact that we are working off of Midgard, which I'm very convinced is going to be like a really great solution for Cardano, is that one, it makes our ability to have an L2 much more approachable versus having to literally hire an entire like blockchain team to do that. But two, we're unfortunately then tied to the release schedule of Midgard. So as they run into things that they're working through and stuff like that, we're also inherently tied to that. I will say though that because of the changes that we're doing, even though they're really exciting for us and make it powered by Stuff Token and some of these other things, at that point, all of the hard stuff's already been figured out. And some of these other things are actually kind of like trivial tweaks to like lower the fees and make them in Stuff and those kinds of things. So as the Midgard stuff rolls out, our version of it will be a very fast follower. So that's all I can really say about that. I'll be able to have some more details for you when we catch up for the February wrap up in about a month, or the January wrap up when we meet at the beginning of February. But yeah, but it's moving along, and yeah, we'll kind of we're following along with it.
Yeah, and I'll say too, a lot of the it's kind of funny. Like when we made the decision that we were like, hey, I think we should go down this path of creating an L2 that's powered by Stuff Token. Like at that point, right, it seemed like theoretical. Like, hey, this is this seems like the right way to go based on everything that we're looking at. Now, as we're getting into these bigger like enterprise scenarios, the advantage of having that is going to be tremendous.
Yes.
For some of these deals, it literally is going to make it's going to make some of these deals possible, right? So, yeah, it's fun to see that moving in a parallel track to all of the business development stuff that's going on that's going to utilize it. So, all right,
it's all coming together.
It's all coming together. All right, I think Sheila's going to play us out, and that was it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I wish you all a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Good to see you again. 2 years down.